Before starting to solo on a jazz blues, we need to learn how to play over some of these changes. So I want to discuss 4 different types of dominant 7 chords. Now this is a pretty complex subject, but I like to sort of compress things down to 4 different categories, or 4 different dominant 7 chords. The first type of dominant 7 chord is what I like to call a natural tension dominant 7 chord. So natural tension means this. It's a dominant 7 chord, so it has the root and it has a natural third and a flat 7. A lot of times we omit the 5th just because we want to have room to play other notes. But dominant 7 natural tension can also have a 9 and a 13 or both. So a B flat 13 is natural tension. A B flat 13 and a 9 is natural tension. An E flat 9 is natural tension. So any combination of that, it can have a 13 or a 9, and it's considered natural tension. And natural tension, it takes the same scale, it takes a Mixolydian scale. Now, I do a thing called Dorian conversion, and it's the way I think about chords. So for B flat 13, I'm going to go up a 5th, okay, to the F, and I'm going to play a Dorian scale. Okay, that's pretty much all I'm doing there. Now, the Dorian is not just that Dorian scale. We can also play the pentatonic. And we can also play the arpeggio. All against that B flat 13. So those are some sounds that are not just the pentatonic. So of course we can play the pentatonic as well. Okay, so we know we can do that, but how do we expand from that? Well, I'm thinking the Dorian, up a 5th. See how that sounds? It sounds different than just playing the blues. So that's how we handle natural tension dominant. When we go to the 4 chord, the E flat 9, we're in B flat, by the way. When we go to the 4 chord, we're going to play this. We're going to use the same rule. So when we're playing B flat 9, we're going. I'm sorry, E flat 9. We're going to play B flat Dorian. So it's the same rule. E flat 9 is going to take B flat Dorian, which is. Or it can be B flat minor pentatonic. Or the arpeggio. Or you can use the secret scale. Which also sounds great against that 4 chord. And of course, the use of chromaticism, that's part of it. So that's how we sort of handle, and we'll talk about the chromaticism in a minute, but we can use neighbor tones, passing tones, and enclosures. So get longer lines like that. These are passing tones. You can use neighbor tones or enclosures. Against that, but still it's coming out of the Dorian scale. We use the Dorian scale as a skeleton to create that. And then the second type of dominant 7 is altered tension. Now these are really important because altered tension is when we have a flat 13 and a flat 9. All right, so or we can have a sharp 9. We can have a flat 9 or a sharp 9 or both. Okay, so in this particular instance we have B flat 7 flat 13. Okay, that's altered tension. Now it takes a different scale. It's going to take melodic minor, a half step above the root. Now, this particular type of melodic minor I like to call jazz melodic minor. So jazz melodic minor is a melodic minor scale that's the ascending version, but it's a half step above the root of the chord. So if we have B flat 7, flat 13, or altered tension, that's what we play. So if this is the root, B flat, we start from B, and then we play our jazz minor or our melodic minor. We're going to call it jazz minor for short. It's the ascending melodic minor. All right, so we need to really focus on that in two spots. With the chord, if it's based off of the 6th string, or what if it's based off of the 5th string, we play it here. So here's our chord, here's the root, of course. Here's going to be the scale starting a half step above. So here in this case we have F7 sharp 9. We're going to play F sharp jazz minor. See how that sounds? So you need to learn that scale in two spots. If we're playing this altered, okay, so really important to learn the altered scale. Okay, so it's really important to learn your melodic minor scales in those positions especially. Really important. It's actually, one of the most important scales we have in the jazz language. Now, let's continue with the third type of dominant 7 chord. This is called Lydian dominant. So this was going to be a dominant 7 chord, but it's going to have a sharp 11. So we have the sound of the flat 7 and the sharp 11. It's Lydian dominant. And this can be superimposed, by the way, over just a regular dominant 7 chord. If you're playing a song that's maybe hangs on the dominant 7 chord for a long time, so instead of just thinking of it as natural tension, you can think of it as Lydian dominant. Now, what Lydian dominant is going to take is you basically go up a 5th, just like we did with the Dorian conversion for natural tension. But for Lydian dominant, we're going to play jazz minor up a 5th. So if we're playing B flat 7, sharp 11, we're going to start off here, a 5th up, and we're going to play the jazz minor. So this is F jazz minor. See how that sounds? And it's quite simple to do, and it sounds really great. Like I said, it can be played as a natural tension, depending on the situation, especially if you're hanging on that chord for a long period of time. And then that leads me to our fourth type of dominant 7 chord, which is mixed tension dominant. Mixed tension dominant is a dominant 7 chord that has a natural 13, but a flat or sharp 9. So we have a 13 like with a flat 9, 13 sharp 9, and then we have or it can be like a sort of like a triad with a flat 9. We can do that. We can put the 13 in there, 13 flat 9, and then we get all these cluster forms. Yeah, that sounds like these are just all based off of the diminished scale. So the mixed tension dominant is all based off of diminished scale, and that's what's really important to understand. So if we play like a 13 sharp 9, it acts just like diminished. You hear that? You can create these really great clusters. For instance, and I'm just sort of using the diminished scale as a template. If I have, I can get a chord like this. I will play this as a dominant 7 chord. So if I have a tune that's like, I'll put that chord in there as a dominant 7 chord. And it can be moved just like a diminished scale or diminished chords. Because it takes a diminished scale and it functions. So that's a nice cluster. That's a nice little cluster. So it's based off of, I call it the bookends of the diminished scales. Let's see, we can do that one. That's another version of it. It's little clusters. And I'll separate them. See how nice that just leads right into blues. So if I'm it's a beautiful sound, and so that's the fourth type of dominant 7 chord, mixed tension dominants that are based off of diminished scales. So just a quick recap: natural tension dominant takes Dorian up a fifth. Altered tension dominant takes jazz minor up a half step. Lydian dominant takes jazz minor up a fifth, and the mixed tension dominants take diminished scales right from the root. And actually, but before I wrap that up, it's actually going to take a half whole diminished from the root. So if I'm playing a B flat 7, I'll say a B flat 13 sharp non, it would take a B flat half whole diminished. All right, so there's some nice dominant 7 applications that you can try to add to your playing. We'll try to work those into some solos coming up.